Those of us who work in journalism or activism or human rights know how important encryption is for the safety of our sources, the safety of ourselves. Not everyone does. It's what keeps people alive in dictatorships. It's what keeps sources safe in journalism. It's not safety versus freedom. It's that encryption is safety and scrapping it is an illusion of it. I'm James Ball and I'm an investigative journalist. I've worked as a reporter for The Guardian, for BuzzFeed, for The Washington Post, and most of that's involved working with whistleblowers or with sensitive sources. I've done stories like Andrew accusations to Snowden documents, but also things like the Panama Papers or sort of offshore revelations, and you can't do those if you can't talk to people confidentially. People often need privacy and confidentiality to be able to tell you the truth. They might lose their job, they might be arrested if their identity's known and they tell the truth. The core relationship between a journalist and a confidential source is that we'll do everything we can to keep their identity protected. Journalists will go to prison rather than hand over the name of a source. The difficulty in the internet era is governments or companies can find the sources without us telling them. They can find it from internet data, from phone data, and so to be able to protect sources, we need end-to-end encryption. It's essential for us to be able to do human rights journalism, accountability journalism, you name it. I've used encryption throughout my career as a journalist, but I think I became really aware of its importance when I was covering a story on Syria in 2012.
Thousands of Syrians have lost their lives in the conflict between forces loyal to President Bashar al-Assad and fighters opposed to his rule.
This was the early stages of the uprising against Bashar al-Assad, and there were a lot of journalists and activists working there, and they were getting caught by the secret police because Assad's relative owned and operated the mobile network and so was monitoring their communications and even tracking their locations. So people were being arrested and killed for trying to report on what was happening there, and they desperately needed access to end-to-end encryption and couldn't get it because of US sanctions. They'd been trying to do this to stop Assad oppressing his people, but they'd ended up making it easier for him to do it. And so we were reporting on this difficulty to try and help the US Senate get them that access. And they did get it, and that probably saved lives. But it did sort of show for me quite early on the dangers of well-intentioned restrictions on encryption. I understand why governments get anxious that they can't see online conversations. They feel a duty to keep us safe. But encryption keeps people safe. It's a little bit like governments being anxious that they can't get into every house or they can't hear every conversation in a pub or in a playground. You know, would you want to put a camera in every classroom to keep children safe? I think most of us would be pretty repelled at that idea. And so, while it might feel reassuring to be able to see things, once you undermine privacy, you undermine it for everyone. Global Encryption Day is our chance to get across the message that encryption keeps millions of people across the world safe, and it's doing that every day. What we can do is make sure that that's protected and make sure people understand its vital role for journalism, activism, and frankly, just people getting on with their lives.